What's up, guys? Welcome to I-90 Sports. What's up?
It's so much better now that we're champs.
We've never had a 4,000-yard passer, and we're the oldest franchise in the NFL.
What's up, guys? Welcome to I-90 Sports. What's up? What is going on, y'all? Welcome to I-90 Sports, a podcast from Boston to Chicago and anything in between. But what's up, guys? Featuring a good friend of mine, JD from JD Rants. What's up, brother?
How's it going, brother? I'm excited to get started. I'm excited for the Bears to finally start playing some football, man. And yeah, let's go. Hype.
Good to have football back finally, huh?
Oh yeah,
Good to
finally.
have football back.
It's been a while.
But I tell you, man, we got a pretty good show today. We got a couple of really good. We're gonna hit on a bunch of different topics here, but there's talk about busy off seasons and just talk about the NBA off season and the MLB a little bit. What up, Coach? What's up?
Coach.
Early morning. Yeah. This can be a weekend morning show. Your boy played a little. Your boy was up a little late, so I had to slept in a little bit. It was supposed to be early this morning, but I was a little hurting. I was hurting last night.
He said early morning sports.
So,
yeah, this is early morning for me. I'm just kidding. No.
But let's jump into it, man. Let's get right into it. We'll start with the Patriots, and then we'll just rotate back and forth.
Yeah, your guy Mac Jones there. I think he played pretty well. Like he's a lot smaller than I thought he was. What do you think of it?
So, well, yeah. So let's start with that. Let's take it back a little bit to the Patriots off season and the draft for them. So this is going to be a good kind of podcast here, guys, and a good kind of viewpoint because it's from JD's an outsider looking in. He's a Bears fan, so it'll be interesting to get an outsider's point of view. Now, the Pats off season, they were busy, really busy. They knew, I think, that they had to fill a lot of talent voids after the season that they had. I think they kind of took a step back at the end of last year and reassessed and said that we have got to. It's funny though, because the focus of the team switched, right? Because it was always, we can take kind of a lesser approach and a lesser talent approach because we have Brady there, to mask a lot of the talent, to mask a lot of the deficiencies. And now it's kind of switched the whole kind of outlook on that position where it's okay. If we could get average to above average play and surround the quarterback with as much talent as we can, and then, and they're going to win that way. That's how they're going to win. They're going to surround a hopefully average to above average quarterback with as much talent. And then obviously you have Bill Belichick being the defensive guru that he is. I think that was their focus this year is let's stack the defense up and let's put as much talent around whoever the quarterback is, whether it's Cam or whether it's, the rookie in Mac Jones or when he gets to play, and they took care of the future too, because when Cam leaves, then Jones is going to be the one left with, he's going to be the one that has the talent there to kind of succeed. So I think their whole viewpoint on it switched. So let's start with that, and then we'll keep going into it. But what do you think what did you think about how they handled the off season?
Well, I how they handled the offseason, I think was good because they, like you said, they actually looked in the mirror. Bill actually looked in the mirror for once. He's got a huge inflated ego. I've said this before on Brady Watch. Bill is, and he's a great coach. He deserves an inflated ego. He's a great coach, and he's always right about a lot of things. But I think Bill looked in the mirror and he said, okay, all right, I'm not that good at drafting certain guys, certain talents, certain players, certain positions. So I'm just going to pay for them finally because I can't, I have all this money, Brady, let me get away with paying for nothing for quarterback, or paying like half price for quarterback for about 20 something years. Now I can't do that. I got to pay full price for some of these guys, not necessarily the quarterback, but other positions, to mask my problem. Because he clearly saw that, okay, I can't just put Josh McDaniels with it, because that's what he thought. He thought, oh, Brady, you're not that good, man. I can just put Josh McDaniels with anyone, and I can put him with Cam Newton, and we'll just win. And that clearly isn't happening. Also, I think that ultimately Cam Newton, as you've said many times over the past year or so, that he's deteriorating physically, and he's not necessarily the athlete that he has been or ever could be again. And not only that, but he's not the best pocket passer either. So it's one of those things where it's like, what are you really giving me? I mean, he's not making much money. So it's kind of just a stand-in. But that's kind of how I see the quarterback position. I do think he has the 2 tight ends. That was a big deal. I wish he would have done that with Brady was there, but whatever.
Yeah, no, that was that.
Who are those guys?
Yeah, no, that was a big. The 2 tight end thing, I think, was big for him. Was a big acquisition for him. Hunter Henry and
Hunter
Henry and Jonnu Smith. I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be a dangerous duo for teams to have to defend, especially if you have guys like, especially if you have the 2 tight end set, and then you have guys like Aguilar and Myers and Bourne, who are physical, scrappy guys on the. It's going to present a lot of mismatches in the not for cornerback ones, but I'm talking down the line. I'm talking at the cornerback 3 level.
Yeah,
you're gonna that's where the mismatches are gonna come in handy for the Pats, is with that depth that they have there. Because if you have a 2 tight end set and you're putting two receivers on the field as well, you're somewhere on the field, there's going to be 1 or 2 mismatches, and it's just a matter of finding them and finding the open person. But I do think it's going to present some definite mismatches there. And then obviously the addition of Ramondre Stevenson and the running back room in general for the Patriots is extremely deep. I think it's going to add to it's just another kind of way that they can beat you. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris back to back. If Stevenson plays, if they keep him on the team instead of redshirting him or going some other route to make sure that they can get him for another year. If they redshirt him, they get him for another year, But I really don't want to see him redshirted. I would rather see like Sony Michel traded and have Ramondre Stevenson with. I would rather go that route. I would rather have him make the 53-man roster than have him redshirted, because I do think he can. That a 1-2 punch of Harris and Stevenson would be. I mean, you saw how they both ran the ball. Like they're just a freight train. They're just tough to bring down. They're not afraid to lower their shoulder. They're not afraid to fight for extra yards. The Patriots offense is going to be very, very interesting. I think it's going to be a lot of quick throws, a lot of the run game. And I think they're going to base that. I think they're going to base their what? Oh,
your cat's foot. Anyway, no, you're right. I actually was.
Hey.
I was actually going to say that.
TV. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I just see a foot just kind of
seriously
slowly creep into the frame.
Seriously, right now? He doesn't give a shit. Zero fucks.
Dude, I'm bathing my. What do you? Anyway, I agree with you 100% though about the Patriots, and also I think that's something that when they are able to get, and especially when they had Tom Brady too, when they're able to get a good offensive line and just some like slot receivers, like tight ends, especially like those kind of quick throw receivers, the Patriots, that's when they're at their very, very best. Absolutely. And that is where, and let me ask you about this. Do you think that because that's the style that they want to play, that kind of Cam Newton's days are very numbered within weeks? Do you think that Mac Jones will get a start? Because like that is his style. It's the quick. That's why they drafted him. Snap, handoff, snap, quick pass. That's Mac Jones.
The release. See, I like the aspects of Jones's game that I like. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of building blocks there that Belichick and McDaniels can work with. I get called a Cam Newton hater a lot, right? And it's not like if Cam Newton succeeds, that means the team's playing well and doing well, and the team will succeed. But at the same time, right? It's hard for me because I base like just looking at what we saw last year. Cam Newton's when he first burst into the league, right? When he first came into the league, and he like in his prime, what was his biggest attribute that made him such a huge success?
Dominant athleticism.
The dominant athleticism, dude, to just be as big as he was and just be as athletic as he was, to be able to be able to run guys over, a quarterback running guys over, you know, and doing the things that he could do in his prime. But as you age, JD, that stuff tends to go away. And these quarterbacks that have made it for so long in the NFL, the Drew Breeses, the Aaron Rodgers, the Ben Roethlisberger, the Brady, the Manning, you know, both Mannings, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
These guys that last. Do we got a dono?
Oh no, sorry, I misread that. I just thought it was money signs. My bad.
I was gonna, but so these guys that last the longest in this league, their accuracy and their ability to read a defense and release the ball quick are what's kept them in this league. They're not the most Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger. Are they the most athletic guys on the planet? No. Their mind is their biggest weapon. Their ability to look at a defense and in 3 seconds, 4 seconds at the offensive line, diagnose what's going to happen at the snap, and if they need to, change the play. So my point being is, Cam's. I think the Pats are trying to ask. I think Josh McDaniels is trying to ask Cam Newton to do something that he just can't do. He's never been a 60 plus percentage guy a year. He's never been that.
No, he hasn't, and he looks slow. That's the thing. Like, and it's not a slow like leg speed. It's a slow in the pocket. I don't blame him. It's just the progression of his career. Yeah.
These athletically gifted quarterbacks that make, and I'm talking guys that make 2 reads and then take off with the football, right?
Exactly.
That's
exactly
all
what it is.
But that's all their mental capacity, their football IQ can handle, you know, before the athletic ability just takes over. And it's like, okay, well, my first 2 guys aren't there. I'm taking off. I'm running, you know?
Right. Exactly.
But you have to have a high football IQ to be able to run through 4 reads in 3 seconds. You know what I mean? 3 to 3.5 seconds at the most.
Cam is 32.
He's 32 years old, and I don't blame him, because a lot of some of the stuff is out of his control. He's just aging and he's losing his athletic ability, you know. And then you're going to sit there and you're going to ask him when he comes into the Patriots system. The Patriots tried to change their system for him last year, and and then you add in the fact that Josh McDaniels has never called a game and had a quarterback where it's been like a run first, you know, or like he's never had an athletic quarterback like that. It
sounds like Tim Tebow, but like even then he switched between Kyle Orton and Tim Tebow quite a bit.
So like there are some stuff that I blame Cam. There's some things that you can blame Cam for, and then there's some things that are just out of his control and you can't. But it all adds together in where he's at in his career, you know, and it's just. I think that they're just in New England. They're just asking him to do something that it's just he's going to struggle with all the time, because he just can't. I don't know how you feel, but that's how I look at it.
I think that originally speaking like 2 years ago, they brought in Cam because they needed a name to kind of like band-aid the Brady situation. Like a lot of people in New England were not going to be happy with that regardless. So they said, okay, well, we're going to bring in, Cam Newton. He was in the Super Bowl recently. So we brought in another Super Bowl caliber quarterback. And there's a reason why Carolina didn't want to re-sign him. There's a reason. It's because he was deteriorating and he wasn't a pocket quarterback. So when you're not a pocket quarterback and you're deteriorating physically, it's like you said with Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger, when he was young, dude, people forget like this a lot. Ben Roethlisberger used to throw people around. He used to like hike, and then run like 15 like yards basically sometimes. He doesn't do that anymore. He hasn't done that in like 6 years. And there's a reason for that. He got a lot better at pocket quarterback. He can make like 5 reads in a row. He's like, hike, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, this guy's open. That's what he does. And now his arm is slowly deteriorating. So this is going to be like his last season. I feel like he's kind of like Brett Favre, where his arm like kind of just slowly got worse. So Cam is like that too. It's
a fact of life. Age catches up with you, man.
And it's happening to Cam, and the reason why it's happening to Cam, I think, is because he went balls to the walls for about a decade. He went absolutely crazy, just like running over people, like, all right, hike, running through linebackers. Dude, he's crazy. So that catches up to you a lot faster. You age faster. Like, look at Brady. He hasn't been touched for 20 years, and he looks like he's 32. He's 44. Yeah. That's nuts. So there it is. You're right. It's age catches up to you. And that's Cam. I think Cam is as good as done. Like he looks like a worse version of Dwayne Haskins out there. He really does.
It's tough too, because some of it you can't put on him. The injuries have like I said, I get called a Cam hater all the time, and I base a lot of what I see on just like on facts. Like
I don't think he's like garbage. I think he's still like a top 30 quarterback in the league, but maybe like 27.
It's the age, the injuries, and then you're asking him, the age, the injuries, and then you're asking him to be something that he's never used to be. He's used to just using that crazy athleticism to his advantage, and now that's kind of going away. And he like Brady, like McDaniels and Belichick are trying to teach him, like, Cam, like you can't put your shoulder into a linebacker anymore. We need you, we need you healthy.
He's too old though. Like he's not going to learn that. Like you tell that to Mac Jones, he'll be like, okay, yes, coach. You tell it to Cam Newton, he'll be like, yeah, okay, right on, whatever.
I think a lot of Pats Nation wanted him to succeed, and they still want him to succeed. It's just when they don't. I think a lot of Patriot fans, when it's all about performance, like at least a lot of Pats fans that I run into, that the locker room is part of it. And don't get me wrong, Cam is he's been a great locker room presence there. The whole team loves him.
Motivated.
His attitude has been great. He says and does all the right things. He doesn't throw anybody under the bus. You know what I mean?
He's a good guy.
No one under the bus. His locker room presence has been great.
It's easy to root for.
And I thought that was going to be the issue. I thought he was going to come in here and the locker room and the attitude were going to be the issue. But
maybe when he's young, but yeah,
it's been the complete opposite. The talent and just the ability on the field has been the issue. He's been he's been excellent for the organization, been an outspoken person. Like, it's been fun to be here. The training staff, the coaching staff's been great, saying all the right things.
Embraces the hard work of the Patriots too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's been nothing but great. Mm-hmm. And I just think that there's not too much left in the tank there. And you can tell he's trying too. Like, it's not like he's just going through the motions. He's trying, and he's just not able to do it anymore. And that's what sucks too, because the guy's like not throwing in the white flag or raising the white flag and just giving up. He's actually trying, and it's just not there. And that's where I base a lot of my argument on Cam on. But here's so let's now I'll ask you another question, JD, right? Just to go along with the Cam thing.
Sure.
If you're the Patriots, would you, if Cam struggles, let's say they're 2-4, 2-5, you know?
Right.
Would you put the kid in and sit Cam? Because somebody said it on the Boston Sports Radio, and it's the only thing I've pretty much agreed with them in a while. You can't. It's going to be really hard to go from Mac Jones back to Cam Newton, but to go from Cam to Mac is easy.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Once you go to Mac Jones, you can't bench the kid and go back to Newton. That's not good for either one of those guys. So the timing of that transition has to be right, because if you screw it up, you're going to ruin not only the confidence of the young kid, but Cam's too, because he's going to think, well, you gave up on me first. What makes you, you know what I mean? So what do you think of that?
That's a really, really good point, and I honestly didn't consider it until you just said that. That's very true. So like what I think about is, like, when you think about why Cam is deteriorating, you have to be very, very specific to what's happening. So a lot of people, like with the injury and stuff like that. So his foot, right? His foot, he used to run a lot, and now he has like plantar fasciitis problems, chronic problems. He's had like 3 surgeries for him. So with that being said, like when you're a thrower, you're use your feet a lot, obviously, even if you're just throwing the ball from the pocket. So to answer that question, I would say that if you start seeing deterioration, or if you start seeing anything less than like 60% passing with 250 yards, less than 1 turnover a game, I would go to Brian Hoyer for if early on, because I want to stay afloat. I want to make sure I can maybe make the wild card, unless you see something overwhelming about Mac Jones right now. Because there's still a lot of time. You have Brian Hoyer on the roster. You got him there for a reason, just in case, because you wanted to change the system away from Cam Newton to make it more like Mac Jones. But at the same time, you don't want to get rid of Cam Newton, because what if he brings more to the table than Brian Hoyer does? So yeah, they're in a very I would say if it's before week 8, right? If it's before week 8, they're still above 500. You bring in Brian Hoyer if he struggles, if he struggles before week 8, before. But after week 8, give me the kid. Show me the kid. I don't care. Especially if you're below 500, give me the kid. I don't care at that point. If you guys are only 3-5 or something, and Cam is struggling, I don't want to see Brian Hoyer. Just throw in Mac Jones at that point, because it's sink or swim, and you're not going to keep Cam next year anyway. If he struggles early, you're not going to keep him anyway. So you might as well throw in Mac. And if you have to replace Mac next year, you have to replace him. So that's how I'd answer that. It's kind of hard. It's a hard decision, though. Very difficult.
It definitely is. And Cam, I think they brought Hoyer in there to be kind of a mentor to Jones. You know what I mean? If Mac Jones has any, Hoyer knows the Patriots system. He's been on that team before. I think they kind of brought Hoyer in there to be that kind of second offensive coordinator for Mac Jones.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a lot of experience in the system, like you said. And, so have you seen, I haven't really seen much of their system this year versus last year. What did they do for Cam Newton last year? What did they even do? I mean, I watched some of the games, but
they tried to incorporate some of that quarterback option with him. You know how they used to do it in Carolina, where they used to run him on that kind of RPO stuff with him because he could use his legs. And it was successful for a little while, but as soon as teams caught on to what they were, doing, and there were games. It was weird though, because there were games where Cam did look good running the football, and then there were games where Cam, you could tell that he just looked tired. Now, one of the things that I want to know how you feel about it, but to me, Cam Newton takes a football and drops back in a pocket, and that just seems like an unnatural spot for him to be in. He when he's throwing when they ask him to consecutively throw the football, he just looks tense and tight and
I think it's his foot.
How unsure of himself. That's how I would say he looks in the pocket. Unsure of himself. Can he throw? 50. but is he unsure? He just looks unsure of himself. That was the biggest takeaway that I took from, that was the biggest thing from the small sample size that I saw from Mac Jones, was that when he dropped back in the pocket, it was confident. He was upright. The positioning was the positioning was good. He was up on his toes. He just looked confident. That's my biggest. He looked more confident than Newton. They had similar stats, but I just think that Jones just looked more confident in the pocket.
I agree with you. I actually agree 100%. It was a small sample size, but he did look. See, Cam, I think it does go along with what I said about his foot. So, like, let's say you're a quarterback, and especially a quarterback who runs, and your foot, you've had 3 surgeries on it, and it still just isn't getting better at all, and you're trying to get comfortable in the pocket. It's like I would argue that from 2015 to 2017 in the pocket, Cam looked fine. He was very confident in the pocket. He was fine. But the last few years, it's slowly, since his legs have gone, so has his pocket skills, because he's just not, he's used to having an open pocket because he can run. Now it's always closed and it's harder. Everything's harder and it's more difficult. So and he's not getting better. He's getting worse. So it's just all kind of crashing. And he says Mac-10 does not have a neat, it does have a neat swag to him. Exactly.
What's up, Carson?
And swag is really important at the quarterback position. Swagger is really important. You got Cam losing swagger,
confidence, and just how you carry yourself. And can't, like I said, I have never. I'm telling you, JD, I get a lot of Cam Newton hate because they think I don't. I do have a lot of respect for Cam because he's trying to do something. He's trying to be a guy that he's never been in his entire career, and I think he's realizing. I think Cam is realizing that it's just the athletic ability just isn't there anymore. And he's trying to adapt he's trying to become a pocket passer, but reading a defense for those athletic guys that depend on that so much, they've never had to rely on their mind more as their athletic, God-given talent and athletic ability. Now Cam at age 32, 10 or 12 years into his career, is having to adapt his game on the fly.
If it was just about having to adapt his mind, I think that he would do it. I really think he would figure it out if it was just about that. But the problem is his body is breaking down as well. So he has to worry about his body while trying to do all these different things he never had to do before. So it's like you said, it's a perfect, or you said with the mind, it's a perfect storm, man. And I feel for Cam because it's hard. Like I think of guys like Donovan McNabb, or even who's it? I mean, you could say even Brett Favre, where they were trying too hard. I would say Brett Favre is actually a better example. Brett Favre was trying so hard to push his body, and it was just and he would play no matter what, because that was Favre. He would play no matter what. He would just pop some painkillers and he was in the game. So and that's the thing. No, exactly. Beautiful Decay said, I never felt Bobby hated Cam. He's just stating facts. Right. He's just stating facts that there is a clear deterioration. Just look at the tape from Cam. And that's the thing. He has his moments, those middle of the field throws where he can kind of wind up and he has some time. He has his moments. He's not trash. He's really not he's not as bad as people think. Well, he's just not a star.
He's trying too. It's not like he's just throwing in the white flag. It's not like he's just raising the white flag and giving up. He's actually trying.
Doing what he can.
It's just not there.
And when you are losing your swagger and you play with a lot of swagger, it affects your game tremendously.
Yeah.
And if the kid does have some swagger, you might want to go with him. We'll see, though. I don't know. It's too early to say. I want to see more preseason games for Mac Jones, for Mac-10, as they say. I never felt. Oh, yeah, we already saw that one. Patrick the what? Weirdo. Another thing about last year was that everything was predictable. Yeah, I predicted. You know what wasn't predictable? That Brady would win a Super Bowl. See, I didn't see that coming. I really didn't. I thought I thought the Patriots are going to go 500. They did a little better, didn't they? They went like 9-7 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or 9-7. Yeah, so they were okay. They were pretty good. And Cam was actually better than I thought he would be, to be honest. Yeah.
So let's transfer over, JD. Let's go.
Sure.
Let's take a run down I-90 and head into the Windy City.
Come on my way.
So Chicago drafts Justin Fields in the offseason. That was a shocker. I didn't expect them. I didn't expect them to go after him. I think if I was thinking if he fell to them, they would take him, but they actively moved up to get him.
They did.
They moved up to get him. So what was your initial reaction to getting Fields?
I mean, I think we were doing a thing together, weren't we? Weren't we covering the draft together? And I was freaking out.
Together.
Yeah.
What was your initial reaction?
I was incredibly excited. I remember I was like, really? This is really happening. So let's take a step back though, really quick, because I want to think about the media has been they've been talking about the Chicago Bears like they know what's going on in Chicago, and they don't. It's kind of funny actually. The mainstream ESPN, all them. So they basically are saying that for some reason they think that Matt Nagy is on the hot seat. And they thought that, and I even said before the draft, before we drafted Justin Fields, I said Matt Nagy's not on the hot seat. Maybe Ryan Pace is, but that's only arguable. This move has the potential to secure Ryan Pace a job for like a decade. Like if it
works out well, easily.
If he's even a top 15 quarterback, he's gonna have an extension on his contract. Ryan Pace will keep him for a long time. But my initial reaction was, holy crap, he is swinging for the fences. Because keep in mind, no other GM, I think it's like maybe only 2 other GMs have ever drafted a quarterback in the top 5 back to back, and it wasn't the top 5, in the top 10. Was it 11? I don't remember. Either way, nobody's drafted 2 quarterbacks that high within 3 years besides the Cardinals, I think. It's the Arizona Cardinals and then maybe one other team. That's it. And the Bears. So it does not happen that often. I was shocked. I was like, we'll probably get an offensive line, something like that. So this is swinging for the fences. I really hope it works out. There's a lot of hype for hey, I understand, Karam, but there was a lot of hype for Justin Fields coming out of camp. People are comparing him to Russell Wilson with his leadership and his throwing ability. People are saying that he's just the most fantastic. There was a scrimmage between the Dolphins and the Bears last week, and there was multiple scouts saying, "Oh yeah, he was the best player on the field. He was the best offensive player on the field, no question. He was the best." So it's really encouraging. Jimmy Graham was raving about him. I'm excited about this kid. It's not even necessarily his skills or his tape, because I did watch his Ohio State tape, and some of it is impressive. But it's not even about that. It's about his mentality, right? The brain, upstairs, because that's what the quarterback's all about. This kid, Fields, man, he is incredibly confident, one. He is determined, two, which is good. He's really professional. He shows, he's always got a nice shirt on. He's always just really locked in, focused on football. You can tell he said, I'm just excited. It was pure excitement when it happened, and I'm excited. And Karam says, JD, I was throwing Ryan Pace under the bus, not going to lie, during the offseason. He has a couple,
I feel
Trubisky move was not good.
A lot of Chicago Bears fans were coming to the end of their rope with him. I feel that.
Not Nagy, though. That's the thing. I would say only a tiny portion.
Upper management, not Nagy, not the coach. Upper management.
Because 2 out of 3 years we've made the playoffs, dude, and we were this close from going to the second round of the playoffs if it weren't for a field goal kicker. So, he's safe. Nagy is safe in my opinion. He's the best offensive coach the Bears have ever had. End of discussion. He said, I feel Fields is going to take a page from Brady and use the doubt as fuel. They did doubt him, bro. They were talking shit about him before the draft. Excuse my language.
Yeah, no, they were. There was some definite. Yeah, a lot of the guys were talking. They were they talked down the pick. A lot of them did.
They did. They're like, oh, how are you going to draft Justin Fields? You're like, this is going to be Mitchell Trubisky 2.0. And it's like, dude, he's nothing like. First of all, Mitchell Trubisky, he played in North Carolina. I'm not trying to trash him at all. I think he's a pretty good quarterback, actually. I think he's like probably the 36th best quarterback in the world. But Trubisky couldn't win at North Carolina, dude. He couldn't win in the ACC. All right, like, sorry.
That's not a lot. Like, there's only a couple of teams in that conference that are real competition.
He like lost. Yeah, he lose to like crappy teams all the time. Fields went to the title game like twice. Went to the like he's a winner, dude. Fields is a freaking winner. So I'm excited. A lot of people are like, oh, Ohio State quarterbacks never work out in the NFL. First of all, quarterbacks rarely work out in the NFL. Period. Like across the board. But I think that Fields has the right mentality. Like the brain is there. And I like that. Also, he had the highest score. I don't know how relevant this is, but he had the highest score on one of those QB tests.
Was it the Wonderlic or whatever it is?
He had like the highest score ever. Like ever. It was like him and like two other guys. I think it was like Baker Mayfield had one of the highest scores. I think like Peyton Manning had one of the highest. Like these guys are smart, dude. Fields is really smart, guys. Like, do not underestimate this kid. He's intelligent. So I'm excited, man. I'm like beyond excited. And I feel like a lot of the chats, people like this
Carson
kid.
makes a good point. He said, will Chicago revamp the offense to fit Fields' style?
Will they? Yeah.
Will they cater the offense to Fields' style? Entirely.
We're what we call low self-esteem. We're not like the Patriots, okay? Like the Patriots have like a standard, right? There's the Patriot way. Like they have their offense. They're going to do like they might adjust things to help people, like for Cam for example. But we're not the Patriots, dude. We are a low. Okay. I'm gonna drop this piece of knowledge, everybody. All right. It's really embarrassing, dude. This is the most embarrassing thing ever. The Bears are the only franchise in the NFL who've never had a 4,000-yard passer, and we're the oldest franchise in the NFL. We and the Packers are the oldest franchise. We never had a 4,000-yard passer. Trash.
So here's an interesting comment right here. This is an interesting comment, and it's true.
Yeah. No, Mac-10 is a great. The more I see it, like especially that preseason game, the more I'm like, yeah.
Even though it was a small sample size, Jones, you could tell that the building blocks are definitely there for the Patriots and Josh McDaniels to work off of. Definitely.
The personality feels right.
Yeah.
Just that fiery young, like give me more to challenge. Motivated.
Yeah. But that's the same thing. Like you could argue that's the same thing with Fields too. He's motivated. You could tell he wants to succeed.
Fields has more, like you said, higher ceiling. He hasn't reached the ceiling. He's probably like halfway there. You can tell by his tape. He's still raw in a lot of ways. But Matt Nagy is like, he's an excellent. First of all, Patrick Mahomes even said a lot of the stuff that he learned was from like Doug Peterson and Matt Nagy. Yeah. So like, not to say Andy Reid didn't. I'm sure Andy Reid taught him a lot of stuff. But like, those were the offensive guys next to Patrick Mahomes during his ascension to greatness.
Yeah.
So I want no one else but Matt Nagy in the room. So what do you? So let's before we transition over to basketball. What do you think? What do you think the ceiling? What do you think the ceiling for Bears.
Fields is this year? What do you think his ceiling's going to be?
Oh man, that's a loaded question right there. This year, just like talking like 2021.
This season, his rookie season. What do you think he'll be able to accomplish this year?
I don't think he'll be anything like Justin Herbert. I don't think, because Justin Herbert blew us away last year. Like he was the best, but I do think he'll see the field. I think that if we and also I think that a lot of people are like, oh, if they don't win 10 games, then they're all going to get fired. It's like, no, they're not. They just drafted a quarterback. They're not. They're going to be there for 3 years minimum. So I think that he'll see the field. I think that if Andy Dalton gets hurt or if Andy Dalton doesn't play well by week 5, Fields will be in there, and that will blow up like the fan base. The fan base will be beyond excited. And beyond that, I don't care what happens. I have no what's the ceiling? The ceiling is the playoffs. That's the ceiling. The ceiling is maybe winning one playoff game. That would be really cool because Matt Nagy
get into the playoffs and get one playoff win.
Yeah, we know Matt Nagy's capable of that, but I have no expectations. If Field gets in there and like loses 5 games in a row, that's not going to bother me. I'll be like, okay, well, we'll see. Give it a couple years.
Because I think you guys' division is going to be a rock fight this year.
The Packers are going to be good, I think, despite all their inner turmoil. I think that the Vikings. I don't know about the. You said they weren't. I have questions.
I have questions
about them too. Yeah, I don't know about the Vikings. And then as far as the Lions go, the Lions are going to be trash. I think. I hope the Lions are trash at least.
There's a lot of hype surrounding the Lions, but there's a lot of hype surrounding them lots of years, and it just never until the Lions prove me wrong. They're still the Lions.
Well, it's just their coach is like just talking a lot of crap. I get. I don't know. He's like the new Rex Ryan or something. I don't know what he's weird, but whatever. Yeah, Lions are in a rebuild. So JD, this is a retool for your Bears. I think that this is a hey, we messed up with Trubisky. He wasn't bad. He just wasn't what we need. We need someone who can push us over the top. And this is let's start over with this kid. Let's keep all the same young guys we have, like Tariq Cohen and Allen Robinson and a lot of these guys who are still with the team. We still got a good
reset
offensive
button
line
at the quarterback position.
Exactly.
They definitely just hit the reset button.
Just the QBs though. That's it. Just the QB. We're pretty good. We got white hair and a couple of good Leno. No, not Leno. Anyway, got a couple of good guys.
So talk about busy off seasons. Both of our NBA teams had busy off seasons.
Oh man. Yeah, they did.
The Bulls and the Celtics both had busy off seasons. The Celtics, unfortunately, their season ended with a lot of disappointment and just a lot of underwhelming. And the second half of the year for them just wasn't good. There were games where you could tell that they weren't in it. That mentally, physically, they just you could tell that they just kind of threw the white flag up. And I mean, it was not fun to watch because you're just sitting there and it's like a slow, how the end of the, you know the ending to the movie before it's even over.
It's painful.
And it's just, I mean, the offseason hit and the Celtics immediately just started making moves. Stevens is no longer the coach. He's in the front office now. They have a new coach, Ime Udoka, who is, from everything that I hear, who is incredibly respected by by Tatum, Brown, Smart. A lot of the guys on the team have a real good amount of respect for him, and they really do like him. So you take Stevens out, and I think, I don't know how you felt about it, JD, but I think that at the halfway point, or even a little, maybe a little past the halfway point, they just gave up on him. You could tell that Stevens was not reaching those guys, and it just wasn't going to work. So they needed a change, and we'll start with that. What did you think of the Stevens out as the coach, and then they put him in the front office?
That move was very interesting, especially what happened after that happened. But I will talk about that first. So I would say that Danny Ainge got the Celtics back to the promised land. Was it 3 times? And they won 1. So he had a lot of what they call equity, I guess, in the Celtics room. Also, He was a point guard for them when they won a few titles. So he had a lot of equity in that room. But they were suffering from an identity crisis, the Celtics were. And I think they somewhat still are, but I think they're starting to find themselves a little bit. And I think that Brad Stevens, this is what I predict. This is all speculation. I have absolutely no sources whatsoever. This is just complete conjecture, me stabbed in the dark. I think that Brad Stevens was very upset about the Al Horford non-signing because Al Horford was clearly the Tim Duncan of his system. and he didn't necessarily always put up the same numbers or look as dominant as Tim Duncan, but he was clearly the Tim Duncan of the system. Once he was gone, the system went up in shambles. It was absolute chaos. You didn't know who was going to be it was like, I would watch the Celtics game and be like, what are they doing? They'd be like, pass over here, pass over there. Whoa, what is this? It used to be pass, open shot, pass, open shot. And like from 2017 to 2019, that's what it was. Right when they got rid of Horford, it was, I want the ball. No, I want the ball. It was weird. It was definitely weird. I've never seen that with the Celtics before.
I think the lack of point guard a true point guard hurt them as well.
It did, and I don't know that Dennis Schroeder helps that. I don't know. I hope so.
The lack of a true point guard, I think, is what really has hurt. Like they with the lineup that they have now, and I want to get your opinion on it, but here's mine. With the lineup that they have now, Tatum, Brown, Smart, the starting five, and with Kemba in there, they couldn't depend on him,
No, he's always hurt.
And you need with a lineup like the Celtics have right now, you need a pass first point guard, a guy who's going to facilitate the basketball to guys who can shoot, like Tatum, like Brown, like guys, just a facilitator. He doesn't have, if he scores 9 points, 10 points a game, that's great. But if he has 12 assists, that's what you're looking for,
Yeah, like Lonzo Ball or something.
And just a guy who's happy with that, who's not going to care, a guy who's, that's what you need, a facilitator, and they just didn't have it. Now, like the Danny Ainge, just to get back to the front office moves now, to me, at the end of the season, I think the writing was on the wall with that. I really do. I think the writing was on the wall with that. At the end of the year, a lot of Celtics fans felt disappointed, and they felt like the team could have gone farther. They should have gone farther with the teams that were in the playoffs, right? With the teams that were in the playoffs, the Celtics, with the talent on that team, should have been in that mix. They should have been in that mix. They should have been there, and they weren't. And what does that tell you? That's an effort and a coaching, it's an effort and a coaching thing. I
never
huh?
Oh, I was gonna say they never really replaced people that they got rid of either. That's another problem. Like, they didn't replace Terry Rozier with anyone. They didn't give anyone the ball for a good 10 minutes in the third quarter like they did Terry Rozier. So that's just a gap that they just kind of let happen. They're just like, oh well, we'll figure it out. It'll work out. And it never really did. And they never replaced, we talked about Horford, but yeah, it was kind of a combination. And I agree, the writing was on the wall. They were it was almost like Ainge was like a year prior was like, all right, we'll do things my way, but if it doesn't work out, you can have my job. And it didn't work out. So Brad Stevens is like, all right, I'll take your job now. That's kind of how it worked. But Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, let's talk about him. So they got Al Horford back, which I think. So we'll talk about a few of these guys that they got back, and a few that they lost. So we'll since Karam asked about Schroeder, what do you think of the Schroeder signing for the Celtics?
I don't love it. He obviously is better than probably anyone else they could have gotten for the money they got him for. So that's good. Obviously that's good that they got him for a low price. But at the same time, I don't know if he's really what they're looking for. They should have. They probably couldn't afford Lonzo Ball, or didn't want to spend that much money on him. But they should have gotten Lonzo Ball. That would have been perfect for them. They would have had an incredibly good defensive backcourt. Now they have a hole in Schroeder. But I do think offensively, he does help sometimes. He will help sometimes. Like whenever you need someone to go get a basket, and Tatum's on the bench, and maybe what's his name? Darn it. I just lost. Brown. Yeah. Whenever Brown's being covered or something like that, Schroeder can go get you a basket. So that's good. He's not the worst you could have done. That's kind of what and for the money, he's great. For the money, he's great. I'll give him that. I'll give you that.
I think it was purely a depth piece. They were just looking to fill a spot on the bench. He was He, like you said, he can give you a bucket. He can give you a bucket, when you need it. And I think he's a reliable bench piece. That's
Right.
and they got him for bench money.
He's not starting?
I don't know. If he is starting, I'd be surprised because
I thought he was starting, and if he isn't starting, that's good. If he's not starting, that's really good. Like really.
I think they're gonna put him on the bench.
If that's the case, then that's really good.
That's what I think they're gonna do with him. I think
Perfect.
He's gonna be a solid, because that's what they needed. JD, let's be honest. Last year they had no bench help whatsoever.
They were missing Rozier.
They would put that second team in there. They would put the bench guys in there, and it was next to nothing. They had no bench help, no depth at all.
I find it so funny, right, that Carson Edwards during 2019 Summer League was just balling, and then he gets to the NBA and he's okay. He's not that. It's like, damn, it shows you
the size of a hobbit. What do you expect?
Yeah, that's true. He was balling though in the Summer League. It made you think like, oh crap, the Celtics are loaded, and then it's like, well, I mean, he's okay. He's pretty good.
He's the size of a hobbit. You might as well just give one of them dudes a jersey and throw him out there.
That's terrible. They do need big guys. They need bigger guys though. That's why they needed Horford. They need a guy. Man,
the veteran leadership and Horford coming back, I think, is going to benefit them huge. I think it will.
I think so too, because Tatum respects him. They were one game away from the finals together. So
now let's see. Let's talk about a couple of guys they lost. So they lost Kemba. They lost Kemba. They lost and they lost Evan Fournier to, I forget where he went.
See, that one hurts a little actually. I think the Knicks.
The Kemba one, I think we all could see that coming.
Yeah.
But Fournier leaving, that he was a pretty good bench piece for them. That's gonna hurt.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
He's a lot better than people even realize. Like he's a great. He kind of a little bit reminds me of. I can't even think of it. I can't even think of his name right now. Maybe it's not even. No, I can't even say that. Darren Williams is way better. But regardless, he's a good player, and he knows what he's doing, and he's very intentional with what he does. That's what I noticed about Fournier, especially during the Olympics. That Fournier is very intentional. Like he doesn't waste time ever on the court. Like he doesn't kind of dance ever. He's just like, all right, I'm gonna get the ball, rack, or I'm gonna get the ball, shoot. I like that. I like that about him. He's very a matter of fact. Yeah,
Karam. Fournier was a decent bench piece, and that's.
He's better in the Olympics. He was better. Same with Patty Mills. Oh my God, Patty Mills was ridiculous in the Olympics. But yeah, man, it's. I think the Celtics. I think the best they could do is probably the Eastern Conference Finals now. But if Tatum takes another step forward and Brown takes a little step forward, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they end up in the finals. I don't know. It's possible.
Yeah,
they have talent.
And now we're going to head back down I-90, back into Chicago. And your Bulls also were busy this offseason. They, you could tell they're trying to load up. They're trying to load back up and make a run again. They were busy this offseason. They had a lot of transactions go down. What do you think your winners? What were your winners and losers, and what did you make of their offseason?
Well, I think that the Bulls, what they did really well, or what I will say they did, and it's kind of fascinating actually, they built for the future while also building for the present. It was very impressive. Like they basically put some pieces together. So what they're trying to do, from my perspective, is they're trying to make the best players on the team, like the best scorers on the team and the go-to guys on the team, Zach LaVine, obviously, and then Patrick Williams. That's what they're trying to do. And they're trying to build everything else around those guys so that those guys can flourish. So I really like that he has a lot of confidence. Arturas Karnisovas and his first-round pick, his first year, Williams, he has a lot of confidence in Williams.
I think Williams has a high ceiling too. I think the potential's definitely there.
He says Bulls got to make the playoffs. JD, they could. They very well could make the 7th or 8th seed. I don't see them going much further. A lot of people are like, we're gonna make the 4th seed. I'm like, slow down. Lonzo Ball is good. He's not a huge upgrade over Kobe White, not a giant upgrade, but he's definitely, because something that we lack tremendously is wing and guard defense. Tremendous lack of that, because like Zach LaVine, for as good as he is on offense, you can walk right through him. I might be able to score on Zach LaVine. There's a good chance I could score on Zach LaVine, which is bad. It's really bad. Now, he's a walking bucket. Now, Zach LaVine is an absolute beast when it comes on offense. Like, he is an absolute monster. I will not debate that. But Lonzo Ball is a much better defender, and I'm glad to have him on the team. Very glad to have Lonzo on the team, because he can take certain guys out of the game.
I think that's going to be an underratedly good signing for you guys. I think
he's worth $20 million.
I think he's going to be an underratedly good signing.
There you go, Lonzo. Take some money. It's not a max. It's not like we're maxing him out. It's $20 million.
The sixth, I think the 5th or 6th seed as a ceiling for the Bulls is absolutely doable.
Absolutely. The thing about the Bulls,
the 8th seed is definitely doable, but like the 8th seed is definitely doable. The 6th seed, 5th seed might be the ceiling, but you guys could definitely get in.
I agree. I think we're in the hunt now. I think we're in the playoff hunt now. We can be above 500 now. I feel like that. I expect at least 45 wins. I expect 45 wins. I don't expect anything above that, but I expect 45 wins, like flat. So, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. Unless Williams takes a huge step forward, then we could be a real team. If Williams can take that next step, then we got a wing star with LaVine and Lonzo and Vucevic. That's a team.
Vucevic, I think, was one of you guys' best signings, because now you actually have to worry about a guy down low.
Oh yeah, and he's so low maintenance. He doesn't hardly ever need the ball. That's the greatest thing about him. It's just like,
and you constantly have to respect him too, because if you give him the ball down low, he's a mismatch for a lot of people. He's a mismatch for a lot of people. And
he's crafty and he's skillful. So yeah, you're right. And his footwork is impeccable. I don't know how much of a defensive player he is.
He'll draw doubles down low, guaranteed. He'll draw doubles down low, and that's going to leave someone open. And if you guys can, and with the passing ability of Lonzo Ball, I think that's going to work out well for you guys.
I think that Lonzo, the best thing about Lonzo is that he's improved every single year. Every year he's improved by like 10 to 20%. So where's he going to be 3 years from now? Is he going to be like an actual like 22, 5 and or 10 assist and like 5 rebound guy with like 2 steals a game? He could be. And if that's the case, and the great thing about Chicago is we don't give a crap about money, dude. We sell out every single game. So that luxury tax for Jerry Reinsdorf, it's nothing. It's chump change. Throw it. He doesn't care.
See, that's a good thing though. That's a good
great
thing. You know
thing.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
if we actually have a team.
We know he knows the worth. He's like, okay, it's whatever, the luxury tax is whatever, $500,000. We'll pay the $500,000 to win games. Like that's like, that's a mentality thing. That's, you know what I mean? Like that's a mentality thing. That's good.
It's nice to have that. Yeah.
It's like, who cares about that? We want to win, you know?
Well, yeah, like the Bucks don't ever want to go past the luxury tax. The fact that they won the title without going past the luxury tax. I mean, people do it. It's not like people don't do it. It's happened a lot, but it's still just like, man, like they could still get better. Like if they wanted another piece in Milwaukee, they could get one. Like they could afford it probably if they needed to. So it's kind of fascinating. But the Bulls, we got a long way to go. We're not like some people are going over the top. Oh, we got 3 stars now.
Let's talk about the Garpax firing too, and how that affected all of this. Because it seems like as soon as you guys got rid of that, it was like
it's almost like the fans are right sometimes, you know.
Well, Bulls fans have been screaming for that for a long time now. That they do not like that upper management. They do not like how the direction that they've pointed the team in. And as soon as you get them out of there, it seems like that. You know what I mean? So
it's like 400 days later, we're like in the playoff hunt. It's like, wow.
Because you had made a video about that when that had gone down, that they had finally decided to get rid of them.
Well, and it's just Jerry Reinsdorf is a guy who doesn't love to, like, what's his name? The guy with the White Sox for like when he won the World Series. He didn't get rid of that guy for like 10 years, even though they were just crap. Why does he gotta be anyway? They were like the White Sox were crap for 10 years, but like Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't like to get rid of somebody if because like they went to Garpax did go. People forget they went to the Eastern Conference Finals like 5 times. Like a lot of people forget that they went in like 2005, 2007, 2009, and like 2011. But after that was like the last time they were good. It was like 8 years. So after like 8 years, they're like, okay, you haven't been relevant for like 8 years. We're done. I think that the fans, after the second iteration of that like Eastern Conference Final team, we were ready to move on. We're like, okay, you've given us like 2 B- products that have made to the Eastern Conference Finals and then gotten smacked down and never made it back. So I think we were just fed up. It was just like, all right, we're done. Like fire Garpax for like 10 years. So I'm glad it finally happened. Lo and behold, it happens. We get somebody new, fresh. He takes our roster, flips it upside down, and all of a sudden we're in the playoff hunt. Bam. Just like that. That's all it took. So I love it. I love it. I'm happy to be a Chicago sports fan today.
Sometimes it takes an outsider perspective. You know what I mean? Sometimes it just takes a different look at an outsider perspective and a different look. You know, somebody new and different to come in and do something about it.
It does. It's just a little bit different. That's all. Just a little bit different trade, a little bit different approach. It's not all or nothing. Garpax was silly. Like they were like, all right, we're going to be a tough team. We're going to be physical. And then they were like, all right, we're going to switch to shooting, but virtually did nothing to switch except for hire a coach who did that. And then they signed Dwayne Wade and stuff. And I was like, what? Like I thought we were going to be a 3-point shooting team. How does he fit into this this strategy? Like, what are you guys talking about? So no, they kind of just were all over the place. They didn't know what they were doing. I'm excited though. Yeah, they have a brand new front office. Yeah, they do. They have a good coach too. I think that I used to think that Billy Donovan wasn't that good of a coach. And then whenever KD left and they still won like 48, 50 games, I was like, wow, okay, this guy's actually a pretty good coach. I take it back. And he's on the Bulls now. It's pretty good. It's exciting though. The Mavericks, man. I see you have them on the I-90 podcast. They technically are part of that too. A lot of you guys know. I think
the respect for Luka Doncic.
I got a jersey of his. Luka Doncic is a beast. That's all I can say. He said, I missed the Lonzo talk. As a kid that played sports with my brother and cousins, always drove us to compete. Let's talk about the Ball brothers for a second. Just for a second. So, like, they're pretty amazing, right? Like, let's be real. Like, this is pretty crazy that, like, in 2016, this dude's just like, rah, 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 my son's better than Steph Curry. We obviously know that wasn't true. But these 3 guys are all going to be in the NBA. Like, LiAngelo Ball is 100% going to be in the NBA now.
Oh, yeah.
He's improved his shot so much.
He'll be in there at some point. He'll get in there at some point.
He may not sign a big contract or be a star or anything. I think LaMelo is really the only star. Like Lonzo's not necessarily a star. He's a good B+ player. That's what Lonzo is. He's a good player. He's not a star, but you want him on your team for sure. You definitely want him on your team.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, I love it though. I'm excited. This basketball season's gonna be great. Yeah.
Let's head into the final segment of the show. Let's talk some baseball, JD. All right, so I've been screaming about the Red Sox upper management on how this team was on fire before the MLB All-Star break. Absolutely on fire. They could not be stopped. They were hitting the crap out of the baseball. They were the team chemistry was just it was awesome. Pitching, hitting, defense, all of it. It was the guys making incredible defensive plays in the field. Everything just on point. They were firing on all cylinders. And then all of a sudden the All-Star break hits. And the cracks started to show about a week before, maybe like a week before the All-Star break, that this team was going to need not much, but a little bit of help. that they needed a first baseman and they needed some back end pitching help to really like secure their spot as a World Series contender. They might with a little bit of help, they might not have been a guarantee to win it, but getting there was an absolute possibility for them with a little bit of help. Not much. They just, like I said, you wouldn't have to crush yourself in the, you wouldn't have to crush yourself and go in to get a little bit of help. But the signs were there that they were going to need it. They were going to need a little bit of help to truly cement themselves as a World Series contender. And the front office does nothing, literally does nothing for them. Maybe a couple of scrap heap moves here or there, but they do nothing. And what does it do? It crumbles the team confidence for what, a month? Now it's finally starting to build back up. They're finally starting to get a little bit of momentum back. But for a whole month, JD, it was bad. Like they played bad. Their body language was bad. You could tell that they just were not in it. And my biggest gripe is that organization is worth $3.5 billion. And you're telling me that they couldn't spend $750. They didn't want to spend $700,000, or like it's between $500,000 and $700,000, the luxury tax. You're telling me that they didn't want to spend that to go and win another World Series? What does that tell? Like, that tells me everything that I need to know about John Henry and how he looks at this team.
He doesn't think of them as a contender, you don't think?
I think if he looked at them as a contender, he would have said, we need, I don't need to go crazy here. If I have to spend, if you're worth $3.5 billion, spend the $700,000 to win a World Series championship and raise the,
do whatever you can, go all out.
You're worth $3.5 billion and you can't spare $750,000 to win a World Series championship.
They got to be like one of the top 5 franchises in the MLB. They have to be.
They're the third highest. They're the third highest value team in history.
Yankees, Cubs, Red Sox.
It's Yankees, the Yankees, and then there's somebody ahead of them, and then I think
Dodgers. Probably the Dodgers.
It's someone. They're number 3 though, and they're also number 3 on the World Series title list. It goes Yankees, Cardinals, Red Sox.
Wow. I mean, they had like an 80-year drought, and now they win like every 5 years. So I think that you really can go all in every year when you're the Red Sox, because they'll find a way to at least compete. It's something about like Fenway Park and something like for the 21st century, they've always found a way to compete. I don't know though, man. Like, it's a different team than it has been. Didn't they like sell a bunch of people last year? Did they like during the trading deadline? Did they like dump like 3 contracts? It was like, I don't remember who.
They got rid of Betts was the big one that they let walk last year.
They
let Mookie Betts walk.
Right, that's what it was.
And then he went and won a World Series with the Dodgers. You know what I mean? They let him walk, and he went and won a World Series with the Dodgers.
That's tough.
And it's
you got to pay for that.
That just aggravated me as a Red Sox fan, that you can't, like, you're one of the top ranked like net worth teams out there.
You got to go crazy.
You sacrifice that $700,000 at any chance you get to go win a title. Go and win it. Go pay the $700,000 and win a title. Like, I don't know. That infuriated me that they just did nothing. They literally did nothing to help them.
Yeah, I don't blame you, because the Red Sox are always seeming to be in the mix, whereas the Cubs, it's like we had that one special year, and ever since then we've just been trashed. So we had a fire sale this year. So, yeah.
It was just that just aggravated me as a fan. Like, I'm sure, like, looking like as a, like, you know what I'm talking about, just looking at upper management and being like, this would not have taken much to put this team right on the verge of another title, and they just refused to do it.
Did they get Kyle Schwarber recently, or was that last year?
They did get Schwarber. Yes, they did.
So that's one guy, but like besides that, they haven't done much else, huh? It's like,
I don't know. I've just been, some of the moves have just been head scratching for me. Like,
yeah,
they're the Bobby Dahlbeck, the first baseman for them, is not good. He's not good. He's hitting like 180, you know,
Yeah.
and has like under 30 RBIs.
There's a lot of guys who have just tanked averages these days. It's like all about the analytic game. And I feel like at some point you got to start making contact with the ball just to keep yourself in the game.
Dude, put the ball in play. The eyeball test, right? Who cares about the analytics? Go by the eyeball test. If a guy's got momentum, you know, it's just like, I don't know. There's a lot of.
You know who's an eyeball star? You remember when we were young, like Mark DeRosa? He was an eyeball star. Like you'd look and be like, that guy is a star, but nobody knew about him because his stats weren't that flashy. But dude, whenever there needed to be something done, oh man, there's 2 runners on second base. It's the 9th inning. Cracked, it was gone. So that like there's guys like that you need like in those special moments that don't show up all the time on the analytics sheet like as the top guy, but you need them in those moments. Like, oh, we need a big hit. Like Derek Jeter is not that impressive analytically, like statistic wise. He's like, okay, people will be like, why is he so legendary? It's because those plays, man, those hits in those
clutch
big
plays
moments. It's true.
Yeah, no doubt.
Big Poppy is another one, obviously. Big moments.
So let me ask you another Red Sox question from an outsider's point of view. Can Chris Sale save this season?
Can one
person save the Red Sox season? Or
I haven't. See, this is an outsider's perspective, and also kind of like I haven't watched enough Red Sox games. I think I've watched like 5, 6 this year, but I have watched a lot of Chris Sale being from Chicago. And I do know that he is a very talented guy. Like he has some nasty stuff. Like he has some nasty stuff in his obviously in his hand. But yeah, anyway, can he save him? I don't know. They have to. Baseball is all about momentum, man. Baseball is all we've seen it with the Tampa Bay Rays. We've seen it with the Sox. We've seen it with the Cubs. It's all about momentum. So it's no one guy. Chris Sale's not going to save them alone. Like if everybody starts clicking on all cylinders and Chris Sale just comes out there and throws nasty stuff every night, they have as good a chance as anybody because they got the guys. They got some guys on their roster. But at the same time, I don't think one guy is going to save him. No, I don't think. Yeah, not alone.
No, I agree with you. I don't think, and I think it's bad for people to put that much pressure on Sale.
Sure.
He hasn't, dude, don't forget, he had Tommy John. He hasn't contributed to this team.
I did hear he was hurt.
Almost 2 years, you know? And you're going to put all this hope and all this, you're going to put,
when he gets hurt again,
you're going to pile all this hope and all this stuff on that guy's shoulders. It's not a healthy thing for I hope he does well. I really do. I hope he comes out and he tears it up. But you shouldn't place all of that stress and all of that hope just on one guy. You got to hope that the team is there to back him too. Because if he pitches the way that we know he can pitch, you've seen him on a roll there in Chicago.
No hitters.
That's what crazy. I mean. If he just does his thing and can be the guy that you know, just a steady piece in the pitching lineup. And the team rally, like that's what you need. Like that's all we need.
That's all you need from him. And here's my point. I guess this is like my only response is this: is that Shohei Ohtani is probably the greatest baseball player in the history of the human existence. And the Angels are only won 58 games and lost 59. So one person ain't gonna do it. It has to. It's everybody. It's all like it's 20 out of 25 of the roster has to be locked in. So it's
like Trout too. It's like a 2-man team over there, and they haven't been
exactly.
able to accomplish much.
They have the MVP. They have the MVP and the greatest player maybe in the history of baseball, and they're just like 50%. Like, that's terrible. That's terrible. It's just it's because you need everybody. You need like 18 at least or 20 of your guys to be locked in and playing well at the right time every year. So baseball is very circumstantial. Like you could have a guy. What was it? was it the Indians the one year? They had like the greatest run in the history of 150 years of baseball, and then they trashed in the playoffs. They were just
the momentum left, and it was just gone. Yeah,
it's gone. It's it. It's we were all clicking, and now you're not, and that's how baseball is.
A perfect example of catching lightning in a bottle and momentum and using it all the way to a title. The 2013 Red Sox.
Yes. The Red Sox have done this a few times where their first
they just caught lightning in a bottle and just rolled with it through
was it 04 where they were down like 3 games or something like that.
The 04 ALCS.
Everyone just started flipped the switch. All the players are playing well and they won a freaking title. First title in like 60 years or something like that. 80 years, I don't remember. Crazy.
Momentum in any sport is a powerful thing. If you and it can it can absolutely affect the outcome of games. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, she said Trout's been out since May. I guess I forgot about that. I forgot he got hurt.
But that's the sad thing too, because he's a phenomenal player, he may never get a ring. You know what I mean?
Sad. That is sad. I mean, you never know. Like towards the end of your career, end of your contract. I mean, Albert Pujols. That's the thing. Like Albert Pujols. He's a really good example of that. Like he got his ring with the Cardinals, but then he left and they got another ring without him. So it's like, yeah, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, damn, I'm not part of that anymore. So it sucks.
Let's, for the last, what do you got to do? You got anything else you want to talk about?
I would just say, no, I mean, that pretty much covers anything. The last thing I would touch on is that Luka Doncic just signed like the biggest contract in the history of Dallas Mavericks.
I saw that. The history of the Mavericks franchise, right?
Yeah, and he's the youngest player to ever sign $200 million contract, I think, in all major American sports, I think. And maybe soccer is the only one that has somebody like that. So it's cool. And I think that it's interesting because like the Mavericks, they a lot of people are like, oh, it's Luka and they're all just a bunch of trash. That's not true, actually. But they don't have a lot of pieces. They are missing like three pieces, in my opinion, and that's really tough. So if you're like a Dallas Mavericks fan or even just a Luka Doncic fan, it's not like the Bucks. Like the Bucks, they put everything around Giannis, and like eventually they kind of grinded it out. Eventually, that could be the Mavericks. I don't know. We'll see though. Other than that, no, I don't really have anything. Like we covered a lot. I'm really excited. I'm about to turn on the Bears game actually pretty soon here. I'm pretty hyped. It's about to start. I think it might have already started actually.
All right, guys. So here's how we'll work this. For the final, let's say 10 minutes of this show, 10 or 15 minutes of this show, probably 10. We will answer questions from you guys. So you can ask us whatever you want, and we'll give you our opinions on what y'all want. So if anybody's got any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and me and JD will answer them for you.
Can't say I'll answer them right, but I'll answer them.
Bear down, right, JD?
Bear down, boys. Let's go. Woo! Justin Fields. Let's go. I'm excited, man. Let's go. Bear fucking down. Who's excited for the Bears like me? I want to hear that. What do you think of Micah Parsons? Oh, okay, hold on. We got a few here. Let's go with Coach Plays first. He said, "What do you think of the Michael Thomas potential trade? What do you think of that?"
What do we think of the Michael Thomas trade?
Potential.
That's interesting. It's kind of amusing. Drew Brees leaves and Mike Thomas is like, yeah, I don't know if I exactly want to be here with Jameis Winston throwing me the football. So
right.
They're going to have to the Saints are going to have to they're either going to have to pay him to stay there, or that's an interesting game of chess, because to me Thomas has the leverage, because if they lose him, they're screwed.
I wouldn't care if I'm the Saints. I really wouldn't. I'd be like, okay.
But they could get a haul for him.
Yeah, we could either trade him and get whatever we want for him, or he will play pretty well for us. Like I think the Saints don't believe that they're going to the Super Bowl this year. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't believe that they believe they're going to the Super Bowl this year. So they're just kind of like seeing what they have. So I don't think they really care if they keep Michael Thomas or not. That's my opinion.
They would definitely get a haul for him, though. They would be able to get a lot for him. So
Who
when
would
it comes to like
want him?
future building of the team, that would be a reason why they would trade him for sure
I agree.
to get a haul. So
Who would want him, you think?
And then Karam says, what do you think of Micah Parsons? I think he's going to be that dude. I think Parsons is going to be good. I think he's got a very high ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. No doubt. I would say who would even like who could afford Michael Thomas? Like, let's be realistic. Like, who could afford him? Like, the Bears, maybe. The Bears probably could. The Giants. The Giants already got a couple of receivers.
No, the Giants signed Kenny Golladay.
Oh yeah, never mind. I forgot to sign Golladay. Who would benefit from Michael? That's the thing. These receivers, as great as they might be. Oops, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, that was weird.
Your camera cut out.
Am I back?
There we go.
That was weird. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, as great as they are, like Hopkins, everyone trashed the Texans for getting rid of Hopkins, and I do think they got like very little for him. But I just don't even like these guys, these receivers. They're kind of like expendable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can always get a new receiver. You really can. Like, there's a million of them who are trying to be stars. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. I wouldn't care either way. I'd be like, oh, you want more money?
So
Whatever.
Here's one from John Larson. He says the Patriots coaching staff
I
is
think
the pressure on them. I wouldn't say the staff, John. I would not say the staff. I'm going to say there's the pressure is going to be on the players this year to execute. And if you're asking if like Belichick has the heat cranked up on him, probably not. Probably, I would go with no.
Belichick cost the Patriots a 7th Super Bowl, and he could still F off for another decade.
Yeah.
He lost them a Super Bowl. They could have had 7. They could have had the most ever. And he could still F off for a decade, and he would keep his job. That's a fact.
All right, so let's go down. He said, Kevin Stewart said, did you guys already talk about Mac Jones starting over Cam Newton? We did. We talked about it earlier in the show, but I'll give the opinions again. I would not, unless Mac Jones is a clear-cut, dominant, no questions asked winner of that quarterback battle, is the only way that I would. And Cam Newton, I mean, would have to fall flat on his face in the rest of training camp and the rest of these games for them to start. And even then, I wouldn't put Mac Jones versus Tom Brady. I would let Cam Newton start this season, and I would go through probably about week 6. And then if the team is struggling, and they're not good, and they're under 500, they're under 500. I mean, like way under 500. Only if the team is ridiculously struggling and just not looking good, and it's clear and blatant that Cam is falling flat on his face, then I would start him. But to me it's they start with Cam, but Jones is right there. He's pushing Cam to the limit. Don't get it twisted. He is, and he will.
I don't think Cam has to lose the job. I think Jones has to take the job. If Cam loses the job, Hoyer should take over. Mac has to win that job. Be like you said, clearly better for me. I would, because like you said earlier, I totally agree with this. You said earlier that that it's easier to put Mac in than to put Cam in for Mac. Right? Like it's easier. Yeah.
The transition. It's a lot easier to go from Cam to Mac.
Right.
Than if you start Mac Jones at the beginning of the season, and then you got to go back to Cam Newton because the kid's, faltering and he doesn't look. That's a transition that's got to be timed right.
It can mess with your team's chemistry and your team's like mentality, like their confidence. So I agree. Like you have to be 100% certain that Mac is 100% better than Cam, and that he's clear cut. And not only Cam, but Hoyer too. He has to be better than Hoyer too. So because a lot of people think Hoyer's bad. I mean, compared to Cam Newton in the pocket, Hoyer is about the same. Like they're about like the equal about in the pocket, I would say. Let's see.
So this says, and then they say, hold on, let's make sure. And then Kevin says, Patriots Secondary, should we be worried? At this point, no. I think that was the first real, the first like game speed game that they saw. I would be worried if that's the same performance in the third game. That's when I would get worried.
No, because Belichick and Pete Carroll, well, mostly Belichick, is the greatest secondary coach in the history of football. So no,
Yeah.
the greatest. Like there's no one. That's like the one thing that Belichick does better than literally everyone. Then it's like offense, drafting, secondary. It's not even close. Belichick's way better. That's why he wins so many Super Bowls. He got good pass rush and he's got an amazing secondary. Always. He'll figure it out. If it's not good now, it'll be good in like 6 months.
All right, we'll take a few more questions, guys, and then we will call it. We will call it a show. This is episode 1 of the I-90 Sports Podcast.
I've absolutely loved this.
Y'all are here for the inaugural episode of the show.
Yes, weekend podcasts. What is it? When you do two every weekend, 1 or 2 every weekend, depending on our schedules.
Depending on the schedule, yeah.
Yeah. Get in a podcast every week. It's been great. It's been really fun. You guys are an awesome chat as well. Lots of smart guys. Your chat is always the best. Your chat's so smart. They have good questions. They talk about just smart guys. I love you guys. You guys are the best.
Carson says the secondary with the strength of the defense. I think they will get it straightened out. I think they will. I think they'll be fine. If that's game 3 of the preseason and that's a performance like that, then yeah. But I think that Belichick will straighten that out.
He said, I'm mostly interested to see the kicker situation.
In New England. Yes.
That's interesting. I haven't seen much of that.
Will Norden take the spot over Falk? I don't know.
That will be interesting.
I don't
Norden,
know.
You say?
I think that's Norden has to take that spot from Nick Falk.
Nick Falk's been around the league.
Yeah. He's got to take that spot from Falk if he wants it. But we'll take a few more questions, guys, and then we will call it a show. We appreciate y'all. Showing up. JD, I think your camera cut out again.
Yeah, I see that. I don't know what's going on. I'll reset it again.
That kicker situation though is interesting. Because the kid Norden didn't look bad, but it's a very, very small sample size. Like very small sample size.
I switched the USB.
That kicker from New England though, did he Norden, it was a small sample size, but he did look pretty good.
That's good. I mean, that's we know. Trust me, the Bears know all about bad and unreliable kickers. So we know about bad quarterbacks, and we know about bad kickers. That's what we're famous for. So it's very important to get the kicker right, as we know. Very important.
Well, here we go. So does JJ Taylor make the roster for New England? I would put him on the roster for New England. I would take JJ Taylor on the roster because that way you don't have to sacrifice receivers, running backs, special teams guys. You wouldn't have to sacrifice guys who are valuable in other spots in other positions as a punt returner when you can just have a designated guy to do that. And I think JJ Taylor, not only can you use him as a change of pace, like to give James White a breather if he needs to, but you can also use them to just catch punts. How
do the Patriots have like 4 starting running backs on their roster every year?
No, they do. They do.
They really
But
do.
I would absolutely use him as a special teams guy in a heartbeat. I would that, like I said, that way you don't have to put a receiver or somebody of value, somebody who's valuable elsewhere, in danger of getting hurt from catching a punt.
Have a good day at work, Phil. God bless.
All right, Phil. See you later, buddy. So here's a question. We'll do this one and
This is for
then
you.
one more, and then we will get out of here.
Yeah.
So John says, with the Red Sox playing badly now, do you think it came from not having any upgrades from the trade? Yes. I think that's a massive part of it. We talked about that earlier, John, about how the momentum just got taken right out of their sails from the All-Star break on. I think the team took it personal. I think they took it a little personal that they didn't get any help, because the team chemistry was just something else between, and I think that really did. I think that took a ton of momentum out of their sails, and it's finally starting to they're finally starting to get some momentum back, and it definitely was a factor. I'm gonna go with yes, it absolutely was.
That question, I'll take your word for it. I agree with you 100% on the Red Sox stuff, because I haven't seen that much, but I agree that if they should go all in. This question by Kevin Stewart, I've been looking into that a little bit.
This one here,
the wide receiver question, yeah. I don't think the Patriots ever do enough to upgrade their wide receivers, ever. I don't think they ever have.
there
they
are
still
just
win, though.
Kevin, if you're a Patriots fan, there are just certain positions that Bill Belichick does not put a lot of value on. There are just certain positions that he'll never draft high on. He never drafts high on running backs. He never drafts high on wide receivers. There's just certain positions where he never puts a lot of value into. And unfortunately there are a lot of the skilled positions on the field,
Well, and the rules are increasingly going towards the wide receiver and quarterback position, and away from the grounded pound type of style that he would normally do. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it. Thank you, Kevin Stewart. Enjoy the games as well, my guys. Everybody that's been tuning in, thank you so much for hanging out with us during this. It's been so much fun. But yeah, I agree that they need to. Yeah, he said Randy Moss was our only great receiver. That's true. That's just true. He was the only great receiver. Like Wes Welker, you could argue. Julian Edelman had moments. What was his name again?
But Julian Edelman and Wes, they weren't drafted high. They built themselves into what they were. Yeah, that's the thing. Initially, he never drafts those positions high, because he just doesn't think the return on invest. He would rather get a guy that he thinks they can build up and has really. He's just been good at finding really good talent late in the draft.
I mean, that's it right there. And some of those receivers work out. Some of those didn't he draft Chris Hogan? Did they draft Chris Hogan? Yeah. See, some of those guys work out. But some of those guys he gets so late because nobody else wanted them, and they peak with the Patriots, and then they go somewhere else, sign a good deal, and they're trash. Lawrence Maroney was one of the only ones that didn't. He was one of the only ones that was like, all right, this guy's a stud. But a lot of guys peak with the Patriots, it seems like. Moss peaked with the Patriots, obviously. He really did. But that was a lot of that was Tom Brady. Tom Brady, nobody can ever tell me it's just Bill Belichick ever again.
It was the combination of the two.
It was.
Bill drove Brady. Bill challenged Brady throughout his whole career, and they fed off of one another.
Bill created a monster.
He did. No, he did. He really did. He built. Brady was always very mental, very meticulous, very, very just driven. And Belichick just absolutely just drove that fact home with him.
He whipped him
to be a student of the game. Belichick taught Brady to be a student of the game and to just study everything. And that's Brady was always, he had that in him. He had that mentality, that student of the game. Belichick just helped him refine it and drove it home that fundamentals are what matters. And Brady is just maniacal when it comes to that. And they fed off of each other for 20 seasons, man.
No, yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. He basically, Bill saw that Brady was a determined man, like a very determined person, and Bill was like, "Oh, okay, you're determined. I'm gonna just like put everything on you all the time." Brady just kept getting better and better and better and better, and now Brady is so much better than every other. Like the little things that Brady does, people don't really talk about it. Like I always go back to this play against the Bears with Hakeem Nicks. Hakeem Nicks broke through the Patriots line and was right next to Brady. What does Brady do? He literally does like a army roll. It was amazing. Like he never takes hits. He doesn't get hurt. He doesn't miss plays. He's always getting the right read. He does all the little things so well. He makes it look so easy that people think he's bad and it's just his team. But he makes it look so easy.
Yeah, because Belichick drove that fact home. Fundamentals. If you are fundamentally sound at your, if you are fundamentally
you will
sound,
succeed.
Yeah, they fed off of each other. It was always the combination of the two that made them so dangerous. Oh yeah. Belichick fed Brady the information that Brady needed. You know what I mean? Bill,
he craved it.
Yeah, and then it's just, and then he took it. Brady took that mentality that feed me the information I need so I can, you know what I mean? He took that down to Tampa, and Arians, once again, they just worked together. He fed him. He just kept giving him, he gave him the information. Brady's mind is his greatest weapon. His mind is his greatest weapon, and the ability to be accurate with a his accuracy and his knowledge of the game are what makes him a freaking legend.
It really does. It's exactly what it is. And he'll always be that good. And the crazy thing is how well he's taking care of his body. He can honestly, like, we were joking 5 years ago about him playing until he's 45. He could play till he's 50. He can legitimately play till he's 50.
With as healthy as he is, he could go another 2 seasons and make it to 47. He could.
I think he could go even further. He looks like he's 35. He really does. He looks like he's young. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. But thanks for having me on your channel. It's been absolutely incredible. And I look forward to doing this like every week, all season, and maybe even always. We'll see that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, guys. So this is going to be, we're going to do this every weekend. This is going to be a weekend sports show. We're going to go back and forth between Boston and Chicago, and then we'll sprinkle in, some big sports events or news. If anything drops, we'll give our opinions on that, but we're just going to talk about each other's teams. And this is, like I said, it's going to be a weekly thing. Me and JD will be here once or twice a weekend, depending on the schedule. And we will go from there. But this is the inaugural episode of I-90 Sports. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thanks for being a good audience, guys. Kevin, Carson, John Larson, who else was in here? Missy was in here, all the regulars, Phil. Like I said, my chat, the supporters of the channel are awesome, guys. Y'all are great. We appreciate you. Awesome. The Sports stopped in here. Decay was up in here. Once again, guys, thank you thanks for stopping in. Appreciate the subscription. Kevin Stewart, welcome to the Beantown Breakdown family. We're going to be going live again for the Red Sox and the Orioles in a little bit, or at least I'm going to schedule my schedule, providing that it's going to be cool, because we should be going live for the Red Sox and the Orioles. Looking forward to that. But thanks for tuning in, guys, to the inaugural episode of I-90 Sports. We will see you guys every weekend for this. Me and JD will be back. JD, good luck to your Bears. I hope you guys stomp them into the ground.
Heck yeah.
I see that. I see the Urlacher jersey.
Bear down, boys. Let's go.
One of my favorite non-Patriot players to watch play, because he was a maniac.
He's the best. I miss him.
But thanks again, guys. We appreciate the time. We appreciate y'all hanging out in the chat, and we will see you guys next weekend for episode 2 and more Boston and Chicago sports news. We're out of here, guys. Thanks again for the support. Peace. Y'all have a good weekend, and we will see you later. We're out.
Peace.